Bin puts the needle work down, trying to trade in. Kanavi going back in with the Cyclone, chases him down. The knockup with the decimating smash with the healing from the needle work as Bin almost snips through Kanavi. Twisted advance in from Shun, Ruler Wild Growth, and Shun will fall. Knight flashing forward, trying to kill off. Yagao going in fact, as the stopwatch comes out underneath the tower. Yagao trying to do everything he can, but in the end, JDG are just too damn strong. Just keeping the rest of JDG distracted because the Infernal Soul has been secured. And look at what it does! BLG wipe away JDG. Welcome back to Game 3 of the MSI 2023 Grand Finals between BLG and JDG. We saw BLG fight back in Game 2, and we'll see if they can continue that run of form here. JDG now on the blue side again, though, does give them a few extra options in draft.
Yeah, blue side's so powerful. BLG using it to get their Jinx as well as the Gwen. Really, really nice draft from them. And you just know all top laners are going to be insufferable now, because that was the dream, is when they split push and they die, and they're like, team, why were you doing anything? Are you doing something? BLG was doing something.
They were.
Because he was split pushing at the right time. That's the missing link.
Yeah. Like, this is gonna be guys, I'm just inspired by Bin. Like, well, yeah, you can't flame me, okay? I mean, it's awesome to see as well, especially when in Game 1, it felt like that he got his signature Jax. It was then shut down as a result of his Gragas. Then they banned the Gragas. The Gwen was left open, and obviously he had a lot of impact on it. A back and forth between 369 and Bin, very much what we wanted to see. Yagao having an impressive bounce back as well against his brother in the mid lane. And I'm excited to see how this series develops. My expectations are that JDG will likely ban away the Gwen, as they did in Game 1. BLG, Cassante, Gragas, very much expected to be their bans. And Lucian is something that we continue to see, so wouldn't be surprised to see that come out once again from JDG.
Once again, I really liked the adaptation that BLG previously made versus the Korean teams, where they were banning the Jinx. And then they were going to force the trade, and they would just go to the Zeri instead. But a lot of evolution here so far in the bans. And again, since you're on blue side for JDG, you are afforded the extra luxury of banning away the Gwen.
There's the Jinx ban that you really like, Current. So let's see where JDG go with their first pick. Annie and Maokai, both of the priority picks that we usually see here.
This is a beautiful adaptation. Oh, hang on, I stand corrected. The immediate Jace lock-in. Clearly in this series, Jace is being given that respect as the first pick. Because remember, the beauty of Annie is that while she is strong, what we've learned from LPL teams is that it's the Annie-Wukong duo that makes it really, really strong. So the question for BLG now is, well, hang on. Do we get ourselves Annie Lulu? Do we get ourselves Annie Maokai? Do we even care about Annie? Maybe we just want the Maokai Lulu? And it looks like that they're saying, we want ourselves the Annie.
Currently will lock that in. Alongside that, can look towards AD carry here. Could also go into the jungle, get the Maokai as your second pick. Knight all time on the Jace, 80% win rate over 19 games. He's pretty confident on the champ, and instead BLG will go towards support. Lulu gonna get locked in for them.
Yeah, and no matter what you're picking on the side there for blue side, this is the goal for BLG with the Jinx ban. Boom, they get both of them. They've got the snap initiation as well as the scaling Lulu to supplement that presumed Zeri pick for them.
Maokai makes a lot of sense here for JDG. I think that they could also look to get themselves the Rakan if they consider it that powerful. The concern you then have is if you do want to pair it up alongside the Xayah.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, a last-minute pivot here for JDG. They're going to take
Good denial.
the Zeri for themselves. BLG can, of course, still go for the Aphelios.
Then take the Rakan for themselves here for JDG. Get missing that engage. Get that Zeri plus Rakan combination.
But maybe they don't care about the Rakan. Maybe they still just go for the Maokai instead.
Yeah.
Looks like that they do.
It's just so good right now. Medic knows he's a support player.
He's a Rakan one-trick.
He's a Rakan
Not
one-trick.
anymore. Nautilus one-trick now. But yeah. Rakan incredibly strong, especially when you have a primary engage to team it up alongside. Does cede a lot of time in the lane, though. You really don't have the pressure to push up into a Lulu because you just get auto-attack from range. The Q buffs that happened a few patches ago do help Rakan sustain through it, but the expectation is that BLG should be able to get the push in the bottom lane early on.
So how will BLG round out their draft? Expectations are AD carry hit. Aphelios is something that you would kind of expect, but how confident do they feel in that? Wow, they're going to leave AD carry up? The Kennen locked in for BLG. I mean, we saw this from them last game, right? Where they literally said, you know what? we don't care about AD carry. You can do whatever you want.
And you talked about the power of Annie Wukong. Annie Cannon is similarly powerful when it comes to late game team fights. You have so much lockdown. You have the ability for the Annie to chase up any stuns or even the Cannon to come in after the initial Tibbers engage.
Also, I have to correct myself. I did misspeak there because I said that it was BLG that didn't care about the AD carry, but last run they did early prioritize the Jinx, and then it was JDG who actually let the AD carry through and said, you can ban away AD carries, we're fine, we'll go for the Xayah. Admittedly, Ruler, while having a solid performance with the Xayah, we didn't quite see the impact that we normally see from him.
And this Kennen pick is big, especially for Bin. There's a reason it gets banned against him so frequently. 11-1 on the champion this year. Has been able to utilize it so effectively. We're going to see so many of these jungle bans coming through here, though. Shen also getting respect on his Kindred, but they want to cover the bases. Of course, Aphelios has been the go-to to pair with it.
Show us something different, Al. Show us a different hyper carry that we've all forgotten.
Could also go jungle here and then leave a Kog'Maw or a Vayne for last pick. There's the Kha'Zix in the jungle, gives you more burst potential alongside the Annie and the Kennen. JDG could look towards the Sion here, something that 369 has a huge amount of experience on. Not as easy to do the level 1 strat when you're on the blue side, obviously, because you want to be playing towards your bottom lane and it's harder to get into the red side blue jungle, but you can still lock the Sion just for its presence in the laning phase.
Yeah, what you want most when you give up the Kennen pick is somebody to mark the Kennen for those team fights, keep him out. You've got the Sion plus the Rakan now here for JDG. JDG, they have to go into games with the front line, and they get 369.
I wonder if JDG will consider this Sejuani here. I know obviously they're lacking a little bit in terms of AP damage, but if they want a little bit more engage, a little bit more frontline, no, they really want to make sure they get some AP damage out. Lawless again for Kanavi, I don't see anything wrong with it really. Again, like you are lacking a little bit in terms of magic damage. Of course, Zeri does do a little bit of magic damage, and Lawless, yeah, all right. So we'll be what we originally talked about, that Sejuani.
Oh, nice! Elk Vayne with the Lulu.
Let's go!
You wanted to see another hyper carry with the Lulu.
He just locked in Vayne in the MSI finals. Woo! What? Elk has been a player at this MSI that's really come into his own. You know, the next LPL AD carry. But there have been times when he's Gale forced into a Howling Gale, when he's dashed forward into the entire enemy CC. And on something like Vayne, you cannot do that. But let's see if Elk can channel his inner Uzi. Obviously Uzi on BLG last year. Elk, I'm sure, will have had a little bit of time watching him and learning exactly what to do with this Vayne.
Oh, this is so exciting. You got to have your juke boots on when you're playing the Vayne. You have to have your condemned timings on Rakan. Picture perfect to be able to stuff those engages before they start, because BLG, they are not running any frontline, baby. BLG are all gas, no brakes, full damage, full CC. You can only dodge skills. You cannot soak them.
And I mean, wow.
Yep.
Wow. Elk. Oh, he is very quickly becoming a name that across the world, coming into this tournament in the old format, you would never have heard of this man. You would not know about this player. But Elk is looking to make a name for himself. Game 3 of the Grand Finals, and we've got a Vayne in the bot lane.
BLG has so much swag, it's insane. The entire arena here erupting.
You want to talk about mojo? This is a mojo pick if I've ever seen one. And it's something that the new format does give you the leeway to do. You have the momentum from beating Gen G, from beating T1. Missing an Elk. WWE to each other. Obviously, we're on the team together and on from the side. Come on.
Don't talk to my AD carry like that.
Jealous of the X.
Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness, modern day love story before our eyes here in London at MSI.
Yeah, as Medic did say, they were, of course, former teammates back on WE in 2021. But when Elk was contemplating him retiring as a pro, was missing, that gave him that encouragement to continue playing.
Yeah.
And so much credit has been given to missing to encourage Elk's future career. Now here he is on the Vayne. We've talked a lot about it, but like Kobe, I mean, when we look at it compositionally, I think, okay, Vayne into all this front line, like, that's pretty good. But in terms of lane, like, I don't have a lot of experience, but talking like Vayne Zeri is not a matchup that I often see.
And you got to look at the support too, because the Rakan is so much a part of it here. It's going to be really hard to get any engages off. Into a Lulu Vayne, Condemn is ready. Missing might just get spaced the whole laning phase here. We'll see about BLG. It's also a very risky composition if you're talking about looking at it holistically. Whenever you're running all damage, of course, your clicks have to be so precise here for them to actually make use of it, because JDG, they've got the guaranteed front line. 369 Kanavi will move up into you. They have the Shock Blast as well. Knight already, warming up his Jace, performing very well with it, so we'll see about him too.
Is only the third Vayne we've seen in MSI qualifying regions this year. Has a 0% win rate, so I'm sure Elk wants to turn that one around. It was buffed on 13.6, a little bit more damage, movement speed on the passive, a bit more damage on the Q as Knight caught out. Yagao could flash stun here. Knight holds the flash himself, and Yagao will just back to the lane. Knight down to half HP though.
So Shun already making his presence known on the rift. No summoner spells traded, as you highlighted, Medic. But Sejuani doing a full bot side clear into top side. This does mean that the jungle is likely going to be matching around this scuttle, but with no priority in the top lane, and Knight losing a lot of HP. Nice trade from BLG's bot lane, missing chunks to about 25% of his HP.
Yeah, it's pain for the Rakan here in this matchup, but I really want to highlight Shun for that gank on mid. Small ganks like that of chunks of damage mean so much for these mid matchups, where we saw, if the Jace is allowed freedom to punish an Annie, push you under turret constantly, then you don't get those big Annie roams, you get the Annie behind, and it doesn't have the explosive effect you want, and the Jace gets to become this massive poking machine. But if jungle can intervene and take away a lot of these early levels where Jace is trying to have the advantage and harass the Annie down, and take advantage of that range, then it really changes the dynamic.
Yeah, Shun actually skipped his Crux on his top side of his clear, now goes down to the bot side scuttle cap, now can look to gank Knight, who doesn't have much mana, but with the wave pushed in, can just back away and then TP back if that wave gets too close to his turret before he can walk back to lane.
And you can see the positioning of Knight. He's always keeping in mind the flash W range from Yagao, because that's what you have to worry about. The Q range, not as scary because the travel time of the stun gives you extra a little bit of time, but he makes sure that he's not going to let Yagao move up through minions towards him to get the instant W1 off there and allow Shun to get in.
Now, Kanavi will have a fairly decent jungle advantage, given that Shun, starting on his Gromp, is actually pathing towards the top side of the map. Meanwhile, Kanavi already getting the re-clear of his Raptors, and with the information that he now has, he's going to drop a deep ward to see if he can track out Shun and see what he's up to. Won't decide to contest that Gromp. Of course, he doesn't really have any information, nor does he have his bot lane available. But he is getting that XP and farm advantage of Shun, perhaps catching 369 unawares.
And Ward not quite on the right side of the bush to spot out the river ward there. So though Shun thinks maybe he's out of vision, he is very much spotted by 369. The wave not in a great shape for 369, but he's on Sion. You sacrifice a few minions, you back away, you make sure that you're not caught as he manages to put some damage down into the back of Bin.
Keeping my eyes on this bot river again, you'll see how much vision is invested as Yagao and Knight go for a bit of a trade.
Right. Stepping forward here, Yagao down to half, gets the stun off. The ward there will help Knight. Kanavi can jump across the wall as well. Yagao still holding his flash and doesn't need it to escape. Elk dashing forward here, flash away the heal as well. Elk with a little bit of a misplay as soon as that tumble was down, Missing was able to go in.
That's huge. 2 summoner spells for 0 here. Really big. JDG now opening up possible plays down here. Elk only has the cleanse to rely on. They're going to need some extra wards. They're going to need some extra coverage.
Oh, Bin flashing, slicing Maelstrom. 369 will be able to flash under the turret. In the end, it's just an exchange of summoners in the top lane.
Yeah, but now he's concerned about a potential dive. They know that Yagao is underneath this tower. You can also see Knight moving into the fog of war, topside river, to see if he can spot out Shun. That information should be gained relatively soon. Ward. Okay, they're suspicious of Shun. But Kanavi actually building a pretty good lead. He was able to steal away the Gromp as far as I can tell. On though.
Ruler dashes across the wall, missing, goes in, can dash back to Ruler. Shun can't quite get in range. The Condemn doesn't lock him against the wall, and now Kanavi coming in for a re-engage. The flash forward knocks up Elk. The shield, the hero, but the permafrost will lock him in place. Shun flashes, and he will escape as Ruler flashes forward. In the end, a 1-0 in favor of JDG.
They punish the flashless Vayne. He even blew his cleanse as the stun from Sejuani came in, so now he's got nothing left. The Vayne pick, tenuous here.
Yeah, and I think Missing just basically wanted to keep the fight going. You know, sometimes you'll see pros diving in, even if it looks a little bit more dangerous than it should be. It's almost like bait that false sense of security. Oh, we just got a really nice trade. Oh, we have a health advantage here. We might even be able to find a pick. But Missing, leveraging his mobility to dash back to the safety of Ruler, kind of baits Elkin on to then overstay in the lane, and that gives Kanavi a clean avenue of attack where he finds a knock-up onto 2 with his Q.
And it was very close on the wall to almost having the good angle to be able to get the stun with Condemn. But as you said, Missing, he's able to get a jump through, and then the Condemn just pushes him further away. And that Sejuani with the advantage, Kanavi knows he can flash in on this Vayne. There's nothing left for Elk to dodge. So JDG, they take control in the most important area of the map. Wave pushing back towards them right now, too. Ruler is so happy right now.
Of course, Ruler feeling a lot more confident in this matchup. He has about a 400 gold lead. We're going to take a look back at this again, and you'll see here Missing gets the 2-man knock-up as Ruler is going out. But again, this is to kind of bait them in to stay into this fight a little bit longer. Then they realize too late that Kanavi is going for this play, doesn't care about the slow thanks to the passive, and then gets that 2-man knock-up with his Q. The cleanse comes out from Elk, but the death has already been secured, which means that JDG walk away with first bloods. But the good news for BLG, Bin has about a whole kill advantage, even more so. He has about a 500 gold lead in the isolated 1v1, just due to the, well, the advantage that he can gain on this Kennen into the Sound matchup.
Yeah, we'll see if that outweighs the jungle here, where Sejuani, level 6, has ulti ready. Maybe he can make an early play. Shun trying to farm up his Krugs, gets his level 6, gets his red, but it's all WoW. The early start on Rift Herald here.
Already bot lane's moving up, though. It's On and Elk who have a slight mover's advantage as they look for damage onto Missing. Can knock him into the wall, they'll do so, but no third silver bolt proc. Shun now in the pit. 369 trying to keep Yagao at bay as the charm comes out, and Ruler starts to rampage through BLG. On already down, Elk tries to answer with a bit of damage to his own, and Yagao with a flash forward will be able to get one. Ruler trying to get away from the Tivers, he'll be able to escape. Shun forced off towards the top side of the fight as the Rift Herald was taken by 369.
Big for JDG here. They get the objective. They get the counter kill too with Yagao coming in to flash. It was a big play from Missing. He finds On, takes him down. But the mid lane equalizer here is used.
In an ideal world, On is able to get level 6 off the mid wave, and then they can or rather move up into the river and then support in the Herald exchange. But noticing that level discrepancy, Missing finds the window, great engage onto 2, with which Ruler is very quick to follow up on. So great initial play from JDG, but then a response from Yagao equally as good as he's able to trade a kill back.
Yeah, and then the sturdy tanks over there getting the objective is Missing Israkhan, no problem. We'll be able to slip out. But the Sejuani, Sion, being able to get that objective, and they use it. They start it really far back in top lane, so they've got the travel time to work with, sending Ruler up there with it.
Missing stunned, locked up, isolated, but still just able to dash out in time. Shun going back forward, Glacial Prison gonna go wide as Shun is locked up and answers a 1-for-1 there in the mid lane.
I don't know if that was worth it for Shun. He'd missed out on a kill on Missing earlier. He was committed to it this time. But with no ulti and no flash, it means that Knight picks himself up his first kill of the game.
It lets JDG know that the jungler here is going to be in base, so this Rift Herald will get shoved all the way in for Ruler. Kanavi even comes through to try and help. Does split a little bit here as Elk is going to be able to secure the rest of the cannon wave.
So it is just 2 fights. Could have been a lot worse there for BLG. And I imagine that they will head straight towards this bot Drake. But with the push that Knight and Missing have secured, they can move into the bot river. And again, I want to highlight this vision in a second. I want to highlight that when you look at some of the wards that have been invested from the side of JDG, they've got great control wards littered around all of the entrances. They're also sweeping out any potential vision that BLG might have. And so even though a potential cross map was there, because Shun ended up losing his life, they are very delayed in actually setting up for this objective, meaning Kanavi can now actually respond.
All right, JDG just got to go face first into this team. Sion ultimate is ready, 369. Just get down here and try and mark the cannon. Bin does have ultimate and flash ready.
He's still sitting top.
Oh, he's walking back top, yeah. No teleport, he's walking back top. Looks like they're making the call to give it.
Only the first dragon of the game, so not too consequential in the long term, and it's a little bit late as well, not a pre-10-minute one. So JDG, even if they started stacking up from here, would still have to wait 20 minutes before they found Soul. I also think they really just want Elk to get some farm, right? Vayne, very low range, wants to get that first item, Shield Bow or a Blade of the Ruin King as well, possibly. We'll see where Elk decides to go as he trades with Ruler in the bottom lane.
I feel that this game is going to get really difficult for BLG to play because 369 has all these answers for Bin for team fights. Not for lane at all, but in going spellbook, you see here, he preemptively, you swap over to the exhaust for the team fight possibility. Once he saw Bin walking back on lane on the minions, he was like, okay, great. They decided to give it up. I know he doesn't have teleport. I'll go back to lane as well. So JDG, Dragon number 1, they start their momentum building now.
Shouldn't just very happily stealing away these camps. About 1,000 gold lead for JDG. Double exhaust for them as well, as you say, with a spellbook exhaust for 369 and missing having one. So if ever 369 is trying to deal with, Yagao or with Elk, you still have that extra tool to isolate Bin in the fight later on.
Yep, since BLG are all damage, anybody's pretty good target for exhaust. Be able to shut
Or perhaps
them
that's the plan,
down.
Kobe. There are too many targets, so who do you exhaust?
Well, I'd say Kennen one, and then
Yeah, I'd probably say
either the
I'd
Annie
even
or the
say Kennen
Vayne.
too sometimes.
Yeah, use both.
Good interrupt. Ulti from Kanavi.
Glacial Prison finds his mark, and now Yagao caught out by Knight. Another kill over to the JDG mid laner, and with that pressure, should be able to get at least one more plate out of this mid lane tower. Kanavi stepping forward into Shun's jungle. Does have the support of missing, and this might just be a blue buff steal.
Yeah, beautiful stuff from JDG. They know these tanks, this front line, just go face first into the BLG member. And if you hit your skill shot, if you hit the stun, job's done. There's no way Yagao wants to waste his flash, though. He's saving it.
It's a chase. Lightning Crash coming out from Ruler. The damage already down onto Elk. Navi is around the corner here, and Elk perhaps just trying to chunk out Ruler so that the dive really couldn't materialize. Elk at half HP though, and an Immortal Shield Bow for Ruler, a flash and a cleanse for him as well as Knight continues to chip away at this mid lane turret. Yagao has the TP, not yet unleashed, 5 seconds on that, maybe saving it in case he needed to get down towards this bottom lane.
Ruler has such nice trading against the Vayne. Typically, it can be quite challenging for many AD carries to go toe-to-toe with the Vayne because of that 3-hit passive, especially when you can reset your auto attack with the tumble. But Ruler, he just knows the ins and outs of the matchup, leverages his range, and just chips away at the HP bar. You already highlighted Medic. He has such a big item advantage. He's going to get himself the first tower of the game. Knight is very close to securing that mid-tier 1 as well. And just bot mid going very favorably for JDG. If we contrast this to last game, while we did see JDG finding a couple of advantages, they were struggling in terms of control around this Dragon in particular, which gave BLG a huge win condition later. But this time around, it's only Bin that's finding leads in the early game.
And is that not the most iconic, JDG graph right there? They sacrifice 369, tank on top side. He doesn't care. He's still going to provide so much value to the team in these team fights. And having a fed Zeri, a fed Jace, has been such a strong recipe for success here. Kanavi leading the way on the Sejuani. Rift Herald number 2 is available. So another chance for JDG to force BLG's hand. Probably should just call it.
BLG do like to take a skirmish when they can, but 3,000 gold down, I think it might not be the best of situations for them to try and fight. Crown now finished on Yagao. Realizes that there's quite a lot of damage coming out from JDG, although Crown, when it's going to be procced by Knight relatively easily, not always the most efficient item when you can be poked down. Let's help reduce a little bit of that poke at least.
Now BLG's whole hope is to be able to just surprise and flash onto the back line of JDG with all of their damage, but it's so difficult to do, and that's why people get so hyped for these types of team comps when BLG pull this out. It's because it's so risky, so hard to pull off.
Especially when we think about how so many of the fights of this tournament have just been very traditional front to backs, oh, tank press R, oh, other tank press R. Did the carries get caught? Yes, ooh. Well, BLG don't have that conventional approach. So far they've conceded all of the early neutrals. Both Heralds have gone in favor of JDG. Next Dragon spawning in about 40 seconds. It is, of course, the Cloud. I wonder if BLG is saying we want to fight this, mainly because the Vayne is still quite weak. First item now completed. When you kind of look at their counterparts, JDG's carries are in such a great position.
Stun on Kanavi here, missing, falling low as well as Tibbers will chase them out, just trying to chunk them before the Dragon really kicks off. In the end, it's just Yagao's ultimate invested there. Kanavi can use the Herald back recall to get back to this a little bit quicker. Bounties now available for BLG as they fall 4,000 gold down. And the thing is, if BLG can find 1 or 2 fights, they're very much back in the game. But right now, JDG just aren't giving them anything to really grasp hold of. They're not giving them an avenue to approach these fights.
Yeah. That's the benefit of also having your front line, is they can face check rushes.
Yep.
It makes it so much easier to control the vision game. And it's even Rakan, who's not that tanky, has the extra dash that we just saw utilized very effectively. And BLG know it's so risky for them. Just trade Dragon for objective bounties.
Okay,
and
match ball for the Wild God. Knock up and missing will fall to On. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Knight TPing behind Bin. He does have the flash, can try and get across this wall. He gets there. Blast cone available to him as well. The TP in. Yagao immediately flashes away. And BLG will survive to fight another day.
They rotate tentatively all 5 up here to make sure they can get everyone out, but that is both flashes off both solo laners for BLG in exchange for the teleport behind from JDG from Knight there. So JDG, they see that BLG are going to let them have Dragon and try and call, and they say, no way, we're not going to let you trade. You're so far behind, we will force more out of you. So really big 5-head teleport here from Knight. Not only do they stop the play, they get the flashes, and they get the turrets. All right, it's not that much damage, it's just the ante.
But it's just, we're continuing to see this great control from JDG.
Yeah.
We saw this a lot in their series versus T1. I was more so expecting what happened the last time BLG and JDG fought each other, where it was just fight, 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 fight. But again, a much more controlled play as they go for the fight.
Glacial Prison's gonna hit, and immediately Yagao is just gone. Taken out by JDG as they secure the tier 2 as well in the top lane.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
And now JDG go back to just pushing the lanes, gaining control of vision, gaining control of the map.
Yeah, the objective remains the same. Just go face first into BLG members. As long as you don't get surprised by that flash play, you've got the front line to do it. Kanavi led the way on top side, 369. Despite the troubles early on, unperturbed in the bottom side, in the side lane now, he's tanky enough.
And it's just, it all started with that bot lane play where they were able to, in the 2 versus 2, get Elk's flash and cleanse, which meant that they could then find that gank from Kanavi. The second that Ruler got a small lead, he is very quickly ballooned it. 369 now in danger.
Stunned up, isolated for the moment, but Kanavi is here to help his buddy. Bin getting forced away, Shun has the flash as well. 369 falling low to the silver box, but now Kanavi takes over tanking duties, and even condemned into the wall, he condemns BLG to death. The collapse begins from JDG and On, trying to heal, trying to get away. Elf doing the same, he has the flash, has the cleanse, will use it to escape the decimating smash, but On cannot do that, and he's turned off. Bin now put in the trash by JDG.
JDG is merciless as they protect their top laner. BLG tried to find a collapse, they tried to find a pick, but JDG was more than ready. 3 members die on BLG, and as excited as we were for this Vayne, it feels like BLG's comp is never being given an opportunity to really show its strength.
Yeah, excellent usage of tanks by JDG. You see the advantage there. 369, he's not scared at all. He's not going to flash over the wall away from a 2v1. He can soak it up, wait for the reinforcements to arrive. Even though he gets pincered here, he doesn't care. He's able to fight them off, and as soon as Kanavi gets close enough, he just makes the turn on to Bin. Kennen already used ult. It barely scratched 369. He's down to 50%. Then look at Kanavi. He'll be able to finish this off. He has Aftershock. The W2 hits. The bug is down. It's just too good. They've got the range from Knight backing them up behind the safety of those 2 tanks, and they run them down.
The fight is also very scattered for BLG, right? You have On trying to come in from the top side of the river. He has no real way to contribute. He uses his ultimate very early to stop Knight from diving onto him, and then basically he spends most of that fight just running away from multiple damage threats from JDG, hunting him down. JDG now, though, have their eyes on Bin.
Navi across the wall, the Glacial Prison hits the Hextech Rocket Belt. Not enough to escape, and now Knight 6-0-1 on this Jace.
You have to wonder, gentlemen, if the Jace has been the problem the whole time.
You feel so?
Knight's Jace once again having a pop-off performance. The Baron will be started. The Baron will be uncontested, and JDG in clinical and dominant fashion are looking to secure game 3.
For BLG, 9,000 gold down. There's only scraps to be picked up from aside the table. 369 charging down towards this bottom lane to try and answer. The Ginsu's finished for Elk. Maybe it's enough, but I very much doubt it. As Jun caught out here, the Tibbers used just to stop the decimating smash. As 369 may have been able to win out that 2v1.
Yeah. BLG in this game, I think, have just strayed a little bit too far from the light. you can play Bin, Gwen. You can have some carries topside, but not carries everywhere. If you forego the tanks, then it's just so easy for JDG to move in. And you mentioned the Jace. The shock blast just hit like a truck. The poke damage is not really poke. The poke damage is going to run you through.
I do get the Vayne pick, though. The passive called Night Hunter, and obviously the Nightman is on the enemy team in the mid lane, so perhaps Elk thought there was a little bit of a lore advantage as JDG continued to step forward here. Kanabi low, though. Forced to flash away. Bin looking for the flank. Does not have the flash. I think it's just come off cooldown. With Maelstrom as well.
With that Rage Blade for Elk, the dream scenario, trying to use that true damage to cut through tanks is, it's the theory, but you have to get pretty late to actually be able to do that safely. And JDG don't look like they're going to let BLG get to the super duper end game.
23 minutes in, already pushing on 2 inhibitors at the same time. Kanavi taking the Dragon. It's a Mountain Drake for them, would put them at Soul Point. TP behind. Elk still defending under the tower. Bin is taking the longest flank I've seen in years. Starts off in Narnia. Let's see perhaps if he can find out Ruler. Still a flash and a cleanse though for the Zeri. Dashes in, lightning crash. Cleanse away, flash away from the slicing Maelstrom. And now it's all on Elk to try and merely open up. But immediately JDG just dive back in. There's no escape from Knight as he finds the kills. The double for Ruler as well.
BLG's backs are completely against the wall, and in the last hope of desperation, Bin tries to find the flank, but it is the flanker that is crushed. JDG, with a near perfect game, will stomp BLG.
And put themselves on match point, title point for JDG, but Knight and Ruler, who have waited so long for the sweet, sweet victory, they are now just 1 game away.
JDG conceded 3 kills, but no towers, no heralds, no dragons. From start to finish, it was just decimation. And you talked about this multiple carry threat, Kobe. It felt like that they were a 0 threat composition by the end of that game.
I just like how JDG used that strategy that we identified BLG using against T1 against them, banning out the Jinx. They are not going to let you choose the Zeri. They will have the Zeri, and they will build a fortress around it. In the end, the Zeri doesn't even really matter, and it's the Jace that does a lot of the carrying and the tanks. But massive, massive stuff there. The rock that is JDG holding strong here.
And we continue to see just how good they are at suffocating their opponent when they get an early lead. I just have to look back to Elk's tumble forward into missing jumping in, and that flash being burned and that cleanse being burned. After that, the Vayne was totally neutralized by JDG.
Well, also remember, Shun diving over the wall to get a kill onto missing, to then giving a kill back tonight. Like, all these little things just very quickly built up, and getting those 2 heralds as well meant that JDG could very quickly open up the map. They started funneling plates into Ruler very early on. They used it to break down these towers, and overall, it just felt like BLG had no presence in the early game. I do trust this team to be able to find drafts and ways back. He's saying he predicted the 3-2, and so this is where the pressure will be on. They will likely move back onto the blue side, and I do wonder where this Jace priority will fall, because Jace has been a very powerful pick so far in this series.
All according to Bin's master plan.
Just 1-1, 2-2, and then 3-2.
I actually feel way more comfortable now, Yeah. I trust.
Now that Bin has promised it to us, it's definitely going to happen. We'll be back in a couple of minutes for what could be the final game of MSI 2023. Don't you go anywhere.